It's great to see everybody's face out there. It brings me great joy to see everybody's face, even on a Zoom webcam. It's great. You know, Conrad, I saw Conrad is here as well. And Conrad's background, you know, thumbs up to you. You got the best background of all, if anybody can ever see it. He's riding a motorcycle very quickly through some beautiful highway. Anyway, thank you all for being here, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate your time today. Welcome to the first of many of our webinars and other online connections with the team from the Middle East Council of Shopping Centers and Retailers. We've been working from home now for the past, well, over 3 weeks. And it took me personally, it took me about, I don't know, over a week to get used to the new rhythm of working from home. The whole idea of the challenges of being connected properly on the internet and the other new routines that you go through. However, I can say this, that after, it's been 3 weeks, over 3 weeks now, we're now more productive and busy keeping the lines of communication open with everyone. So it's a great way to start on this webinar, and I thank everybody for joining us. Our team, just to let you know how we've been working, our team has been doing scheduled Zoom meetings together for at least 3 times a week, and it's been many more than that actually when you add them all up. When you add the Zoom meetings to the other phone calls with the team and the other members in the MECS+R who we've been chatting with, it's been amazing to keep in touch with everyone, and it's been also very exciting for us to understand what everybody's going through, and understanding we can pass along what we're doing as well, how we're making it through all of this. Our priority includes the health and well-being of the team and their families, our Middle East Council of Shopping Center and Retailers members and families, and the retail industry overall. And I'm sure you're much the same. We continue to reach out to all of you through our digital points, and our digital points are going to be, I think, growing and growing, as you will see. Let me talk to you a little bit about what our digital points are that we can use. Our website is continually upgraded and updated, and it's always there for you. The WhatsApp newsletter that comes out monthly with the current events, our team is doing a great job making that a very interactive and very newsworthy newsletter. So if you've not been reading that, please jump in, because it's a great way to do it. Our Retail People magazine comes out at the end of April in a digital format. And I know that you'll see that we've done a lot of work this month on this quarter edition, a lot to do with COVID, of course, the COVID-19 virus, but also a lot on successful family businesses. And I think you'll get great joy in reading what we've been able to create and see some successes, even in these otherwise more downturn times. You'll be, I think, quite impressed with it. The other ways we reach out are through our voice on demand retail podcasts. When we first started out a while ago on this, we didn't know how it would go over, but I'm finding, Ian was telling me the other day that we have probably 1,200 to 1,300 people listening online to our podcast. So clearly they're working, and I'm really appreciative of all of you spending the time. First of all, to come in and doing it, we can do it online from your home, but also when we were doing it back in the office in our studio, we had so many great podcasts coming out of there, and we'll continue to do that. In addition, now we recently launched a video on demand, which is just one step further than the podcast, which is our own retail YouTube channel. And we've started slowly on this, but we're going to grow that as well. And I think that there's many ways that you can participate in this as well, which I think will be very important to you. And of course, the 2020 Middle East Council of Shopping Centers and Retailers Directory is coming out at the end of April in digital format. So there's a lot of new updates, a lot of new things going on, and everything is digital, as I think you'll see. Our normal hard copy material has been delayed because of the fears of distribution of magazines to directories, which some authorities say may harbor the coronavirus. So we are unable to publish hard copy these directories and magazines at the current time. But rest assured, as soon as we're able to put the hard copies out, we will send them to you, and you'll be able to have them, pick them up and look at them in hard copy as well. We know of your challenges personally and professionally, and you may think that because we haven't reached out before now, that perhaps you haven't understood what we have been doing and where we're at. But I can tell you that we're all in this together. We know of your challenges personally and professionally. We see them, we hear them. Our team has been talking to so many different people through Zoom, through normal phone calls, and through so many other ways, emails, that it's great to keep that level of communication up. I want to say this to all of you. I say this in all of the other times that we've met, and I say this: if you need something, don't hesitate to call any of the members of our team. You know who we are. My phone's on 24/7. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always inside. So if you want to pick up your phone and call me in the mobile anytime, I'm always here. I'm working from home. Goes with anybody in our office. We're all working from home, but we're all available to listen to you and talk to you. We all face this common crisis. Everything we know and have known has been turned upside down. And I don't think anybody is surprised by that by now, but everything is upside down from where it was. At times, we're worried about the virus, about ourselves, about our families, our own health, our family's health, our friends, how they're doing, colleagues, members and their businesses. How are we going to survive after this? But I will say one thing that I want you to remember, and that is this, is that the event, this coronavirus pandemic event, will pass. And it's up to us as an industry to ensure that we can carry on. And I know that there's so many things that we continue to do in our office and with our team to keep the wheels in motion, keep the wheels on the bus, as they say, and keep moving forward. As soon as you stop, you go backwards. And I think we all know that. So from wherever you are, I can suggest that it's important for you to keep on the phone, keep reaching out to your retailers. If you're a shopping center owner, manager, I can only suggest that you keep reaching out to them. Talk to them. Let them know where you're at. What's going on with you? What's happening? Even if you don't have much new news to report from where you're coming from, it's always great to keep your name and face in front of these different people. Who are your colleagues? Who are the people who make this whole industry survive? Remember this, that up until February this year, there were thousands and thousands of retailers that were open and operating and prospering. But now, less than 1% of the retailers in this region, I'm just speaking this region now, are open. That has significant impact everywhere. It goes without saying that it's really a massive industry shift. But I think, as you have been as well, I've been reading about other things. And I know that that gorillas in the industry that are online, for example, like the Amazons of the world, they've been facing so many challenges that I don't know if you've been reading about them, but the delay, the shipping challenges, the problem with their staffing, all of these issues are I think, opening our eyes to nothing is as perfect as what we think we saw. And I think it's important to remember, and I'll go back to something that my grandfather once said to me, and I was a very young boy when he said to it. And I always thought that my grandfather was the wisest man in the world. When you're 5, 6 years old, you do. He taught me something that stuck with me for many decades, which is perhaps still relevant today. But my grandfather said this, he said, nothing is as bad as it seems, nor as good as it seems. And I think as long as we remember all of those things that are part of what we are today in this industry, we'll get through it. And it's one step at a time. So I want you to remember that. I mean, I could go on for hours about all of the other things that I've been reading and listening, and other people I've been talking to in the industry from Saudi through to Oman and through this area in the UAE. But I think let's open it up, please. If anybody has any questions or any thoughts, this is an open forum. I would really like to have some questions from anybody if they have anything that they want to say.
Hi, this is Mahmoud Al-Khatib from Arik in Saudi Arabia. My question will be, what will be post, hopefully we'll be over this, and I don't know, a lot of speculation on when this will be over, but what will be, how will be the market post COVID-19? Will be there drastic changes in the design of the malls? Will it change our lifestyle in terms of the customer behavior? in terms of or regulations, or people will just go back to what they've been doing before COVID-19?
Well, of course, it's an opinion that you're asking for, and I can give you my opinion on this. What I've learned and what I've seen is that people are social animals. And yes, we're stuck at home, we can't go out, we're on curfew, we can't do the things that we've normally done. But people, because of their very nature, are social. They want to be out, they want to see other people, they want to experience things, they want to see what's going on. And they see that by not only shopping for themselves or dining with their families or doing things together as a family or individually. They do it in so many other ways. So my opinion will be that I think that the return to normalcy, as we talk about, will come back. It won't come back overnight, but it'll come back in a matter of months. Once people are assured that there won't be a danger to their own health to come back. And once they do start coming back and the word basically starts to get out that it's fine, come on, let's see, meet people and joining, even if there's social distancing, I think that people will still come back. But let's get other people's opinion too, because that's just my opinion. What does anybody else have to say about that? Please come forward, make your opinion known.
Hi, David.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Raji, good. I fully agree with you. We've had a major lockdown here since quite some time. And I concur with you on everything you have stated in your opinion. The only things that we are facing over here are our tenants who are now wanting a relaxation on their tariff, on what they pay every month.
Sure.
So apart from, obviously there's going to be a revision in CAM. Rentals are being slashed. But do you think that going ahead with a 3-month and 4-month waiver is going to be a solution for all this? Or because now the overall market price is going to go down even after the COVID-19 has perhaps died out or faded away? So people are not willing to pay that kind of money for what they were paying, especially the new and upcoming malls, which I'm working on. So this becomes a big challenge for us to convince tenants who have gone through a major loss period and their recovery is still questionable. So when we're talking to the same tenants who got shops in existing malls and they want to go for expansion into new malls, how does one really address this situation when we want to tell them that, okay, when our landlord is wanting X and the tenant is not wanting to pay that kind of money?
Okay. Dinesh, thanks. I appreciate your thoughts on this very much. Let me tell you what I've learned after, I don't know, 38 years in the industry. Mm-hmm. What I've learned is this, is that when people are making sales, the retailers can afford to pay rent. When they're not making sales, it's very difficult for them to pay rent of any kind. I think that that's fairly clear. My opinion is that things are going to pick up, and in the next 3 to 6 months after things come back, they will be back at a very high level. And once that happens, I think that people will be more attuned to coming back to the market and jumping in. If you're a retailer and you want to be in the retail business and the shopping centers are there and they're successful by every measure, you will be successful when you bring those retailers in. That's my opinion. Now, how do you bridge the gap between where we are today and say 6 months after opening? That's the trick shot. That's the relationship part of the business, which I believe this whole industry is based upon relationships. And my sense is that as long as you have solid relationships with these people, and I'm talking about personal and business relationships with these people, I think you'll have a good opportunity to carry on and do business with others the way you were doing it before. In fact, even more. But that's, once again, that's my experience and that's what I've seen in the past.
David, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Wael Belkhair from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Well, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and thanks for your team. And I really would like to hear your opinion. We know this is all gonna pass, but how can we leverage on the change of the habit of the people, of the habit of buying? Now we know many people now being forced to use the electronic service and buying online. So this will change the habit. I'm not saying this is online versus offline, but how can we as an industry leverage on this change? Thank you.
Well, great question, Wael, and thank you for asking it. Here's my opinion on that. My sense is that people are going to revert to the way they were before all of this pandemic came down on us. And that is that people are going to be a lot more social, and there's probably going to be an overreaction to being more social as soon as they feel they're going to be safe. My sense of it is that the challenges that people have had buying online recently, I think have created some doubt in their minds that this is perhaps the best way forward. I go back to the whole thing about relationships, and if your retailers have solid relationships with their customer base and who they are, they can provide products and services that are important for everyone and at a reasonable price, and offer delivery, if that's what it takes, that I think that they'll be back there. My sense is that there won't be this wholesale change that people are talking about. My feeling is that the retail environments, and I'm talking this region now, I'm not talking North America or Western Europe, I'm talking about here. Given the climatic conditions, given the hot summers, given the lack of places for people to go and hang out, and given the opportunities for people to do things, I believe it'll come back to the shopping centers, and I believe it'll come back in a fairly strong way. The question is when. But while I don't think I answered all your questions, because you asked 2 or 3, but was there another question that you wanted to add while I'm thinking about all of this?
Hi, David. How are you? This is Nada Abu Sab. Hi to everyone.
Nice to hear your voice. Nice to see you.
Same here. I have a question. Do we have any insight from our colleagues in China about the rebound that they're experiencing now that this is obviously the first country that was able to reopen after COVID? And if not, could we have access to this information? Because this could be an interesting benchmark or a case study to review.
Sure, and that's a great question, Nada. Let me explain what I know from reading. And what I've read is that when the lockdown and the curfews and people were allowed to come back onto the streets, they came back in a big way. And they came back in a big way for everything that they were doing in their life, including shopping. So I would suggest that once the curfew is released in where we're living and people deem it safe to be out on the street and commingling, even if there's a social distancing that they're taking advantage of, I suggest that there will be a lot more shopping going on one-on-one with using cash or other forms. Now, I will make a point of going and asking some of the people that I have as contacts in China and find out exactly your question. But from what I've learned and read, I would suggest that the retail industry is picked up as soon as people were allowed to come out of their homes.
Good morning, David.
Morning.
This is Roni from Beirut.
Roni, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you for organizing this.
Pleasure.
Is anyone trying to reach out to you on a government level, local, or on a regional level to see what kind of rebound plan could be organized in order to support this industry and to relaunch the industry after this crisis? Because, as you know, on a private level, on mall developers level, they may not be able to sustain all this loss.
Understand. I can't speak for every country. I've read a few things, particularly about Lebanon, which is not necessarily great news with respect to the debt that they have. But other countries, and I could say the UAE, have already come out with a number of different initiatives that they say are ready to deploy to assist the industry to keep its wheels turning. Now, having said that, when and how and the way this whole thing will roll out, I think is going to be part of a learning that we will see. I can assure you that the team and myself are going to be all over this to be able to share that knowledge with you as an industry so that you're able to, wherever we're learning this information from, so that you're able to at least follow along and do what you can do wherever you are. So I hope that answers, and we'll be the social conduit to be helpful for you on that. We've been asked by other people in the UAE if we could provide some support. I just want to reiterate what I said to them, and I'll say it as well to everyone here. We're happy to help. We do not carry a big stick. We can create white papers for the industry and we can deliver them to the right source, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to listen to us as an industry or me personally about it. They may take the comment and they may think about it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is what they're going to adopt.
Hi, David. I'm Ziad.
Hi, Ziad. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm fine, dear. Thank you for this opportunity. It's nice to see everybody here. But we need to hear more from the retailer, what they are expecting from the mall's managers or the owners. Most of the people here, it's from the mall. We need to hear from the retailers.
Okay. So let me tell you what I know about the retailers, Ziad. That's a very good question first. Let me start by saying that the retailers know as much as you know. The challenge with the retailers is that they have all of this staff, they have all of this inventory, which will now be old, depending on what it is. And they have all of these expenses. So if any of you heard from Al-Shaya, John Haddon had a very lovely 5-minute presentation about what Al-Shaya was going to do. I think it's worth listening to that because what it shows is that the retail industries and the retailers themselves are having a hard time to put their hands around the issues. My sense is that as soon as the events that are keeping us locked down are opened and we can go back to a more normal lifestyle, that we will see more and more retail activity, shops will open and there'll be more things, more people buying things and things will come back. And once there's more sales, then people get more comfortable. And I would also say this, when people are buying things like necessities, then they're the first thing that they'll buy, and there's not a problem with that. When they're buying other products that aren't necessary for their ongoing well-being, and maybe it's diamonds, I'm just trying to throw some ideas out here. Maybe it's something that they don't need to survive today. Maybe it's not a new suit. I don't know what it is. Those types of items will take a lot longer, in my view, to come back. But in terms of the other things that people live with their families, the t-shirts, the different outfits that their children need, that's all going to come back very quickly.
Hi, David. This is Amit Damani.
Ahmed, how are you?
I'm fine. When you mentioned diamonds, I said, let me come and be
Oh,
part
please.
of the conversation.
It couldn't be better that I talk diamonds and the master of diamonds is with us. How are you? Good to see you.
Fine, David. Thank you so much and really appreciate you organizing this. For the other participants, just to update, I'm Amit Damani. I'm the Managing Director and Group CEO for the Damani Jewels Group. We have various retails across hotels and malls. My question is, David, a little bit different. You know, even we open, you know, our business especially is not tourist driven. And we have inbound high-end tourists who are coming to UAE who spend in our fine jewelry. What is the timeline you or other people on this group, they feel that this unrestricted travel can start? Because for us, even if the mall opens and like you rightly said, people will go for restaurants and other things before they go to jewelry. What is the sensitive time or a sensible timeline everybody feel that not more, but maybe 20, 30, 40% of business can come back with respect to the international travel?
Well, Emmett, thanks. Great question and a great point. I think what I would suggest is for you to review the Emirates Airline website. And I've looked at that and I got a note that suggests that they're going to start with limited flights beginning in late April to end of May. That's just starting. But when you have the size of the fleet grounded like they do, I believe as soon as they are able to safely fly and carry passengers, that we'll see people slowly come back. So I think it's going to be by the end of this year before we get back to a more normal trading where you'll have visitors coming in. I would also suggest that it hasn't been decided yet, but if Expo 2020 is pushed ahead to 2021 and is voted on by the authorities to do that, then there will be all kinds of opportunities here for people to travel here and have, I think, an affordable vacation in Dubai, and it will allow them to get out of wherever they are for a short time. And that's when I think the shopping for your kind of product and others will start to pick up. So my guess is that date is likely middle end of this year, but it also depends upon the second and the third wave that I've read about of how this virus might affect us later. My sense of it is that once there's a test that's out that can tell who's had it, who hasn't, and when people feel safe, if they've had it and they've recovered and they don't have any symptoms, then they're going to be the first to get on the airplane and travel and explore. And I'd also say this, that bodes well for you and your industry overall. Many people, although they're suffering, and I know many of us are suffering, there are a few that would be your clients who have probably made more money than they've ever made just because they don't have the expense level that they used to have, or there's an ability for them, regardless of the circumstances they're in, to go and shop and acquire and feel good about, or perhaps invest in diamonds, which I know is a good part of your business as well. There's a good, people invest in diamonds for a long-term appreciation and capital appreciation. So that's my opinion. I hope that that's okay.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, this is Debbie Christensen from Nova Cinemas. First of all, thank you for putting this on, David. I think it's, you know, great platform for everybody in the community to come together and share experience of what we're all going through right now. I think, first of all, mine's not really a question. I wanted to say that, you know, right now we're experiencing very positive support from the landlords. You know, much needed support during this difficult time. It's challenging for all of us. And I think what we need to do right now is focus on the plan, the rebound plan, as a partner within our partnership between the landlord and the tenants. How can we work together? We need to obviously instill confidence in our customers when they come back. What can we do as of now during this period to give reassurance, to continue to engage positively and with a little light humor with our customers? So I think I think now more than ever, that partnership is coming into play. And I think we have to actively work together on this rebound plan. It's not about just what the landlord's going to do. We all have a role to play to make sure that when the customer does come back, they feel confident and they feel valued and appreciated. We need to give them the reason to want to come back. So from my perspective, it's about that we need to work together. How do we work together going forward? Let's come up with those rebound plans so that when the customer comes back, we're ready for them and they're excited about it. I mean, from my own perspective, I am absolutely going stir crazy working from home right now. I can't stand it. I can't wait to get out of the house. I can't wait to go to the mall to have that experience of that retail shopping and eating out, meeting up with friends. So that was kind of my position, just to say, you know, we need to work together, all of us, on this rebound plan. It is a partnership. We need to work as a partner within a partnership.
Well, Debbie, thanks. I appreciate what you're saying, and I could not agree more. I think that that's very important. And I think that I know Leah is listening, the director of our organization, And I think that it would be great, Leah, if you could write down the rebound plan for getting things back onto a more normal setting. So Debbie, just in response to what you've said, and I agree with everything that you've said, but I would add one more thing to it, and that is that during times like this, it's probably the most important thing that you can do as an organization and as what you do at Novo to keep front of mind of your customers. And I don't know how you best do that, but I'm sure that you may have some ideas about how to get a hold of your customers and how to reach out to them. But digitally, as any way that you can to reach out to them from a marketing perspective is what I would do. And it's the consistent theme over a longer period of time. And the big benefit that you have right now is that everybody is sitting at home and they have a computer or a mobile phone or whatever they do, and they will see it.
Absolutely.
So whereas before the percentage of emails that was open, they say was 13%. And, you know, my guess would be probably less than that in the old days. I would say it's probably more than that today, which means that you would be able to interact more frequently, more easily using email and other formats like WhatsApp and other formats that would reach out to people. So consistency of message over a longer period of time, build those relationships and keep moving with it. You can't stop. As soon as you stop, you're going backwards. So
totally agree with you, David. Totally agree with you. And we're doing that on a daily basis through digital, across all social media. As you said, everybody's stuck at home. Most people have a mobile phone or a laptop. So we're making sure that we engage during this time, not just with our customers, but also with our employees. So keeping everybody positive of mind, positive messaging, fun, light-hearted, a little bit of trivia, just to make sure that we maintain that engagement throughout. So completely agree with you on that. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you, Debbie. Good, well said.
David, Chris Igwe here. Can I just come in with something very quickly? Thanks equally for everything that you guys have been doing. It's phenomenal. I just want to comment very quickly. There was a question asked with regards to China.
Yes.
That one thing for us to consider or be aware of is for us to watch is that next week, as of the 14th of April, Austria is actually coming out of lockdown. The way that they've set it up and the way we understand it. So I'm sharing this for us too as an industry, keep an eye on and see how that's going to work out. Basically, their intention is to open up non-essential food of a size approximately less than 400 square meters of trading and see how that goes. Now, clearly there's mechanisms that need to be put in place about social distancing and so on, but that's the first step. Their expectation is that on the 1st of May or from the 1st of May, and shopping malls, etc., will be able to open up. However, it's unlikely that restaurants or hotels will be allowed to open until probably later in May, maybe mid to latter part of May. So I'm giving this out there for us to consider and monitor to see what that looks like and how that might affect our own countries or our own sectors in the industry. I'm actually based in Paris in France, and our approach here is very different. At the moment, we're still in lockdown and will be for at least another week, maybe to the end of the month. So the big question is around how people are tested, how the social distancing is managed. But I think Austria will be a good template for us to monitor and observe how that might affect us.
Chris, well said, and thank you. And you're right. I've read actually that Austria is opening up, and there was another place too that I remember in the Western Europe, but that's great news. And we'll watch Austria for sure. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Roseanne from Amusement Services International. To Debbie's question in terms of the rebound plan. Now, I see that after the lockdowns, opened and people can go out, I think the confidence level of people will still be a little bit low in terms of shopping, since online shopping has become so prominent. And I think for them to go to a mall would be the experience, the service anchors. And I think what kind of an experience or social experience they get and what kind of promotions retail outlets have, which they can't get online. So if there would be a cross promotion, say for example, between a movie cinema and a retail store, I think that's something that would take them to that retail store. So this is the kind of rebound that I see with consumers going to a mall.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you've stated it well.
Hello, David. Hi, this is Baiju here.
Hey, Beju, how are you?
Very good, David. Thank you so much for putting this together. It's not a question. I just wanted to add something as an answer to what Ziad had questioned earlier. So what we're doing is we as BERS Management and Marketing Consulting, we are doing two sets of research surveys. So one questionnaire we send among the retailers, asking them what their expectations are. And I'm very happy to share the result with you, David.
Fantastic.
Give it another 5 more days.
Okay.
And second, we've also got response from about 15 malls as to what they are planning to do. And I'll be happy to compile that and send it across to you as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah,
Fantastic.
so you can expect both of this by, let's say, mid of next week.
Excellent. We'll make sure that we post it. And I appreciate your support as always. Thank you, Beju.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mohammed Al-Qaid.
Yeah, actually, I would like to update you about China. I have got some news from our partners who has offices right there. After they came out from this COVID-19 issue, they found that the footfall in their malls came back as 30% only of what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be an indicator for us all that a gradual, as everyone believes, a gradual recovery will happen. So this is the only benchmark we have so far. We are very eager with time to have more countries coming out of this crisis to see what will be the norm coming out of it. So I just wanted to share this with everyone, and thank you for arranging this webinar. Thank you.
Mohammed, thank you for that. Great to get that feedback. And once again, it shows you the strength of being together as an industry and being a member of our organization. You can share this information and it becomes, I think, more meaningful for you. Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Yes, Tony. Samaan.
Yeah, good morning, David. This is Tony from JLL. Thank you to you and the team for this webinar. Actually, I have a question. I've been asked by one of the retailers a few days ago, and I'm not sure if you can answer me. So, does a retailer have the legal grounds to break out from a bad lease or renegotiate the terms using the force majeure clause since their businesses is shut down and they're heavily affected? Thank you.
Well, great question. I have had legal training in my background, but I can say that I am not a practicing lawyer, nor would I ever think I would be. But I can suggest that read the lease, because everything that's in the lease is what stands in the agreement between the two parties. My sense of it is that you will be best suited to have a strong relationship with whoever it is who is negotiating. And the force majeure clause, I'm really not sure, because there are so many different iterations of a force majeure clause that even I've been aware of in my career over the years. So it would depend upon how and the intent of the force majeure clause that was signed off by both parties. But I can suggest that the relationship that is going to be the most important part of the whole thing, the relationship between the two parties.
Yes, Syed.
Hello.
Syed Velayati.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is Syed Velayati from Iran. Hello, David.
Hello, Syed.
In my opinion, I want to make it short. In my opinion, COVID-19 will have probably two major effects on people's lifestyle and customers' lifestyle, one financially and the other is psychologically. And I was wondering if there is any kind of estimation or studies that how this and to what extent this era, this lockdown will affect on the habits of people, like let's make it more clear. For example, people are going to buy more food and beverage. Will go to food and beverage rather than fashion more than before, or how this percentage will change? And do you think it will have any major changes? It will force malls to change their zoning, their tenant mixes, and their footfall will be affected by that. I was wondering if you had any estimation of that. Thank you.
Saeed, thank you. Great to see you on screen, and thank you for joining the call from Iran. What I can tell you after watching the industry and seeing what's going on, people generally, unless there's a life-threatening event, have a short memory. And by short memory, I mean they resolve to the old way they did things very quickly. So my sense of it is, no, things won't have to change in the mix and the look and feel of the shopping center right away. I think that over time, they will evolve, they will continue to evolve. But my opinion is that with this pandemic, it will not cause an overnight change in the behavior of people. What will happen is that from a financial point of view, once people are back on a strong financial footing, they will resort to the way and the habits that they had even before this pandemic broke out, as long as there's no risk to their health. That's my opinion.
Okay, but do you have any estimation of the period? For example, if this lockdown period takes 6 months or 4 months, how will it affect the period of going back to the previous situation? I mean, probably in the close future, we will see some changes. People, I think people with financial shortage will go, this is just an example, will go for food and beverage rather than fashion, as I told before. And it will take some time to go back to that era. Do you have any kind of estimation that how long will it take to go back, depending on the lockdown period?
Well, you know, the best guess is that it'll be probably 6 to 8 months after normal trading recommences, that it'll be back to a more normal state. And we had a chat a little earlier in this webinar about the fact that once people feel safe about what they're doing, and once they're back in a more social footing with the people that are with them, their family or friends, they will go back and get out and be part of that community that's the shopping center industry. But I think you're right. I think people will always default to what's more important. It's the Maslow's hierarchy, and that's it's food and shelter is at the top, and then everything else after that below. Okay, Lena from Kuwait, you've been waiting. Sorry.
Hello.
Lena.
Can
Hi,
you hear
Lena.
me?
Yes, Lena, I can hear.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lena.
Thanks so much, David, for gathering us here. And hope everyone is doing well and in a good health with your families. I have a question to you, David. How do you think landlords should support retailers, and how long retailers can survive while stores are closed, especially if landlords are not supporting? This is one question to you and to everyone, definitely. Another question, how are landlords supporting retailers in different countries, if you know, or if anyone knows? Thank you.
Well, thanks, Lena, and thanks for waiting for your question. Well, first of all, your question's been heard by the 131 participants that are with us right now, so they'll have their own ideas. I would go back, and I know you and I have had this conversation many times, but it's all about the relationship with the retailers that you have. I think when you listen to what John Haddon said on his video, the YouTube clip that came out about Al-Shaya and what they were doing. So they have 60,000 employees and they have 4,500 stores, and their revenues have dropped 95%. and they have less than 1% of their stores open. So that's probably a fairly typical scenario for most retailers. But I think Alshaya, from what John Haddon was saying, is probably one of the more hard hit retailers. They're all been hard hit, but this is of a magnitude that is sizable. He has said that they will do whatever they can and work with whoever they have to carry on, because he wants a strategy that will be in place for after trading goes back. And I would suggest for you and what you're doing at Tamdeen is to make sure that your relationship with those retailers is strong enough so that they know what you're thinking almost on a daily basis. You can never make up and decide what somebody is going to do. You can give them guidance, but you cannot control them. And as long as you are having a relationship with them and you have an open communication with them, my opinion is that you'll be able to do more and be more productive with that tenant in what you want to do and how they want to proceed or not proceed. And there's no illusion, there will be many retailers, some retailers anyway, that will close after this because they will just have borne so many losses that they can't carry on. There will be other retailers on the same side that will say, we want to expand more, there's more opportunity for us because they've sat back and decided, here's where the niche is and here's what I want to do. It's up for you as an operator of a management company and Tamdeen as a developer to understand what you can do to secure those viable retailers in the future. It means more work than ever. I was chatting with someone who was in London the other day, and they were chatting with Cushman Wakefield in London in their offices and all of the things that were going on. And they were all now working 14 to 18 hours, a lot of them from home, only on relationship building with all of their clients, trying to determine what the next best step was. But that gives you an idea of what people are having to do to retain the relationships with these retailers or with the shopping center owners or with any client that you might have. So I can't answer your question specifically, but I know that everyone, the 135 people who are here, they could probably learn something from that and respond back to you. And we would be happy to connect you.
Yes, next is Andrew Williamson.
Andrew, how's Riyadh?
Oh, hi, David. Good. Thanks for hosting this today, and thanks everybody for being here. It's great to see everybody. I just had a comment on China. I was speaking with the CEO of Livet. He had something like this, a webinar with lots of people the other week, talking to people. And globally, he's been going around the world talking to everyone about F&B. And in China and Asia, where they've opened the restaurants again, they found that within 8 days, they got back to the sales that they were at before the crisis. So that's
great information. Great
really
information.
positive. Yeah. So that was it. That was my comment.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrew, for
Thank you.
your comment.
And Osman Khaled.
Hi, David. This is Usman from Centric. How are you?
I'm good, Osman. How are you doing?
Very well. Okay, David, I have a question around this digital transformation and some of the e-channels that we are seeing that malls are opening up, especially with Dubai Mall stating that they are going to have a store at noon. And right now I went to Mall of Emirates website, and Nada is here in this meeting as well. And they are mentioning something about fashion delivered at your doorstep. So I want to see whether this is like a tactical bit that the malls are doing for a really short time, or this could potentially become a new normal for the malls where they are going to offer retailers, the shops, as well as the e-commerce within the mall landscape and build some type of systems around that.
Well, Usman, great point, and I like your comment. I would suggest that follow the money. So if it has been successful for these shopping center owners and for the likes of Noon to do that, and they are making money at it, you can rest assured they will continue to do it. And if they maybe not as successful, then perhaps you will see that they won't be quite as energetic in promoting it the way they have been. But my opinion is that you've got the staff in place, you're paying them. Why not check and see what other venues or avenues are available and open to keep business, the wheels of business turning? So But good point, and I'd like to follow up on that one myself to see what happens, because I think that that's probably a good way for shopping centers to keep connected with their shoppers and their customers and their public.
Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Yes, can we hear from Rafiq of Sine Royal?
First of all, thank you very much, David and team, for hosting this. And I wish good health to all who participate. So my concern is being one of the anchor tenants in the malls in Abu Dhabi. So since the outbreak of COVID-19 from December 2019 in China, so from January itself, we were experiencing the low footfall, lowest ever since our history. So then gradually it became increase and increase. So in February it was almost nil. Then March our cinemas were closed down, so all over UAE. So it seems to be even if the mall would be able to open in near future, cinemas are not likely. That's what my assumption. So do you have, my question is, do you have any collective decision to support in terms of rental rebates? So I know the malls in UAE, different malls are offering different kind of support to the tenants. So do you have any collective support in terms of tenant? Because it's even if it is, we would be able to open in I think we would be able to open in end of May. So still it will be like maybe 25 to 30% footfall we are expecting until end of July. Most of the movies are already scheduled after August.
Yes.
So because America is in tremendous trouble, so the Hollywood movies are not likely to come soon. So it is, I mean to say, first half of the 2020 is seems to be zero revenue for the cinemas all over Middle East. So do you have any collective plan to support in terms of rental rebates?
Okay, do we have a collective plan for supporting people? I would say the short answer is no, but I would also say that one of the things that I believe this pandemic will cause is for there to be a much more transparent relationship between the landlord and the retailer, the landlord and the tenant, and the shopping center owner and the tenant. And I'll say this reason, because everyone's in this together, and I don't think this has been easy for any party. My view is that if the shopping center owners become very difficult to manage and deal with, that they will suffer a loss of occupancy in the shopping centers and be quite highly vacant. My sense of it is that you would best to have a strong relationship with your shopping center owner and also start to share the numbers with them on a daily basis about what's going on. You may have already been doing that, I'm not sure, but if you're not, that would be the best way to start. After that, I would suggest that, you know, the industry in Hollywood, I've read a little bit about this too, they're reeling because they don't know really how this is going to play out or when. And it's the same for all of us. We think we have a timeline of around June, and you're saying by the end of the year, it'll be a little bit stronger, and I agree. Your comment then is, what do you do? The trick shot, as I mentioned before in this conversation earlier today, is that how do you manage the financial aspect between today or whenever it opens and the end of the year? And the only way I can suggest that you can do that successfully is by having a very open communication with your landlord, with the people who are looking to be compensated for the deal that they have done with you, for the the cinemas, wherever they have them with you. It's not easy. It's not easy for anyone, but I would ask for transparency and share that with them as well about how you're managing it yourself. For us, it's very difficult for us to be holding a big stick. We do not hold a big stick in the industry. We have a stick. We can do white papers. We can talk about different ways to do it, but I'm not sure that we would have any sway over the landlords about how to manage dealing with their retailers or with their FEC components.
Can we call on Chris?
Yes, hi. Thank you very much. Just a quick comment. I think that, and I've heard this or not heard it quite a bit, and I think it's something for us to consider. So piggybacking on the question about landlord-tenant relationships, which is a big conversation, and many clients who are on the retail side who I deal with have very interesting insights. But the comment I want to make is twofold. The first thing is, in many of these reviews, assessments, discussions about how the industry will get out of where we are, I believe we forget two key components, two key groups. The first is the banking sector. I think if the banks or the financial institutions or the lenders are not around the table in this conversation, we're going to come out of it weaker and more challenged structurally as an industry. So I think we do need to find a way to bring them around the table. The second is the valuations of shopping centers in particular, and obviously other retail assets. Again, if the valuers are not around the table for a conversation, there's going to be a significant mismatch between where we believe we are today from an owner point of view and where the valuers seem to believe it's going to be, and therefore pricing, and therefore, in the future there will be transactions taking place. So I think we need to find a way as an industry to ensure that they're able having a conversation and not behind the scenes, because the landlord clearly has his own challenges or their own challenges with regard to offering rent-free and so on, or cancelling leases. They still have their assets and they have a certain value attached to it. The final quick comment, David, and then I'll hand back the mic. I think it's fair to say that here in France, to a question that was posed earlier on, one landlord, as soon as the lockdown was announced, they made the unilateral decision. They're not quoted on the stock exchange, but they made the unilateral decision to cancel all rent for a minimum of 1 month from the time the announcement was made. So I think each landlord approaches it differently, and there are some who are visionary and very close to their tenants, to your point, David. And that's what he said. He said, look, at the end of the day, I love my tenants, so I'm going to support them as best I can. And I think that's a great attitude to have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. And you're right, the banks and the financing, they all have a fairly significant role, have a very significant role. And we need to bring them around. We do have members in the Middle East Council of Shopping Centers and Retailers who are with the major banks in Abu Dhabi, and we will certainly engage with them, is a very good point, and get their input on what the next step would be or best step would be. So thank you for that, Chris.
And yes, Simon.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you all. As somebody who has been in Dubai for a while, it's lovely to see you all. David, I have a question for you, particularly in view of the comments about Al Shire, which are really quite shocking. Bearing in mind that Al Shire and other major retailers such as them are key tenants in many or most of the major shopping centres in your region, what effect is this likely to have on malls which may be under construction at the moment? Are they on hold or going slow? Are you able to make a few comments on that, please?
Well, thanks. It's great to see you and great to connect again. I would need to speak with the leasing teams specifically, but what I can tell you is this, is that when retailers are in survival mode, which many are in today, perhaps one of the least important things for them to do are to carry on and lease new spaces. So my sense is new shopping centers are definitely going to be under pressure.
How about those which may be under construction at the moment?
Well, there's a number that are under construction in Abu Dhabi, and I know that the people, for example, at Reem Mall, I had some conversations with them, and I know that Lena, who is on this call, is under construction on some projects that are in Kuwait. But I would suggest that it's pretty stiff headwinds that they're facing to conclude any kinds of lease agreements these days. It's just not the priority, the way I see it, for a lot of these retailers to be looking at these shopping centers today. That's my view.
Has construction stopped?
You know, I haven't been there to see, so I don't know. I guess I could go online and look at Reem Mall and see if they are, because they have some webcams that are over top of the site, but I have not, so I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Vinit?
Hi, David.
Hello.
I'll keep it very short. It's not really a question, more of an opinion of yours that I'd like to know. Once this crisis is over, and hopefully soon, do you foresee any changes in terms of the mall operations? As in, will the local authority intervene, or by the mall themselves? Will there be any change in terms of the mall operation hours? Will it be more or less? Or will they have any sort of a safety protocols which they will be enforcing? And what do you think will be the repercussions of those decisions on the retailers?
That's a good point and a good question. And my opinion is this, is that health and safety has always been right at the very top for all governments, first of all, and then shopping center owners. And my view is that the health and safety has got to be probably the most important priority. My expectation is that after the pandemic passes through and we're back to more of a normal footing, that we will see perhaps more focus on health and safety aspects as related to social distancing and to how to manage pandemics or disease outbreaks. There will probably be more of that. So is that important for the retailers? Yes, absolutely important for the retailers. Would they expect anything else? I don't think so. I think everybody's interest is to have the safest place that we can be these days and enjoy a healthy life going forward. So there are costs associated with that, and how you react to that, I think it depends on the person or the business or whatever your perspective is. But I would suggest that there will be more attention on health and safety aspects in shopping centers and in the region than there has been in the past. So yes, I could say that. And how that affects the retailers, it'll affect the retailers any way that the government sees fit.
Right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, and Asif?
Hi, David.
Asif, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. This is a question, and plus maybe I can, as a suggestion, we are talking about the landlords and the retailers. Don't you think that instead of waiving off, why don't the landlords work on a commission basis with the retailers? Maybe that can be a good solution. What do you think of in this point? And everybody can answer if anybody has a, because our boutique in a hotel, we are trying to negotiate with them based on the sales and the commissions on a yearly basis. So this way we can able to sustain rather than like paying a bulk amount, or like in situation like this, we can able to survive, I believe. What do you think on this, Reem?
Yes, okay. Asif, thanks. Great to see you again. That goes back to a very popular percent-only rent. And I was mentioning earlier in this webinar that I believe that the pandemic may cause a more transparent relationship between the retailers and the shopping center owners. And in which case, the percent rent, which I think you're alluding to when you talk about commissions, the percent rent I think is probably going to be a very solid way forward. But it means that it has to be very transparent on both ways. Both the landlord and the retailer have to understand that it's a two-way street and that there's no perfect solution either way. I mean, as Chris was telling us from Paris earlier, the landlords have their same challenges because they have the banks and financing and all of these other economic issues that are part of what they have to manage. And the shopping center owner has the retailers, and they're in the middle of both of those things, trying to make it work. So my sense is, once again, more transparency in the future in the region, And second of all, I would think that percent-only rent is probably a good way to go, particularly to help bridge that gap between now and when things are more on a more normal footing. I hope that helps.
So next.
Neşe.
Thank you very much, David.
Nasılsın?
Teşekkürler, iyiyim. Thank you very much for the great initiative. I would like to talk on behalf of Sharaf Group, and I'm from Times Square Center, but we have other malls that are under my portfolio in Oman and other area, and there's commercial towers. So I'm representing a developer here, shopping mall developer, especially private ones. Landlords are, tenants are asking us to give them a rent relief, and we don't have anyone to go and ask rent relief. So as a, MECS+, can you be like, you are the voice of all malls, can we ask government at least kinds of VAT relief from the shopping mall developers? Okay, we are ready to help tenants, and we are doing as Sharaf Group, but of course we have our limitation as well. So can you help us on this as a shopping mall's voice?
Yes, well, Nancy, yes, we can help, and we will, and there's a number of initiatives that we can do. Our contacts are with different levels of the government, and we can follow through and see what we can do. I don't think we have any guarantees that we'll be successful in whatever the outcome is. However, we will reach out, and we will do what we can to assist you. I know that what I've learned is the government-owned shopping centers in the UAE, for instance, I think will have more support than shopping centers like perhaps the Sharaf Group have. But I think that there's got to be some kind of a mechanism that I've read about that I'll go back and research that more fully. So good question, Nancy. Great to see you again, and we look forward to catching up soon.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and for the final question, Lina.
I just wanted to share that our chairman of Tandine Group, decided to waive the rent during the mall closure. So regardless of how long the mall will be closed, we're not gonna take any rent from our investors. This is one. Second, our chairman decided as well to give 40% discount on the rent after the malls will open till the end of the year. So this is what we are doing, but I wanted to know and to hear from other malls what they are doing in different countries, like in Dubai, Qatar, KSA, Bahrain, Jordan. I really need to know if you have an idea or anyone can share with me. Thank you.
Lena, good point. And I know that you work for a fantastic organization in Tamdeen Group, and the Marzouk family are very generous with their offer already. I would leave it to the rest of the people who are on this call to maybe connect with you, and we will help to facilitate that one way or another to make sure that you can find out from other people how that will work. But great to hear from you, and thank you for that.
Yes, and David, if you have any other final message for everyone before we end this webinar?
Well, thanks very much. First of all, everyone who joined, I think it's fantastic to see your faces and have the questions and making it interactive. I really appreciate that. And thanks to the team who've made it all possible for me to be here and speak like this. I know that everyone on our team has done a fantastic job and continues to do that. I would say we need to hear from you. And I know that we're reaching out, and I know that head of our membership side, Angelo, is still doing around 70 phone calls a day, reaching out to everybody. But I would suggest this, and that is that we would like to hear from you. So call our team, call me directly, email, whatever it is you want to do. We'll come back and we'll have another webinar. We appreciate the support that you've shown us, and we look forward to meeting you all, seeing you all in the future. But please don't hesitate to reach out and ask us how we can help you. We're here for you. So anyway, thanks very much, everyone. I appreciate your time. And with that, I'll leave the meeting. So thank you very much.